Welcome to the Save with Sex podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan L., pleasure scholar and creative mother of the Muses Lab. Together, we journey through sex, pleasure, and the erotic as it relates to our relationships, spirit, self, and our overall human experience. I'm elated to be your guide on this adventure. So grab your tools of pleasure, ground, and let's go. Hello. Welcome back to the Save with Sex podcast, folks. I'm pausing a lot because I am thinking about conversation I had with my girl, Fee, aka Sophia Domiville, Haitian American abstract artist. And I put this quote on Facebook a couple years ago when I realized that I was expecting someone to come save me and realized that I am the only person who can save me. And I phrased it, you are the hoe. Save yourself. Right? So this is for the people pleasers, the givers, the overlovers, the undercover overlovers, those with the savior complexes, the fixers, the I want to helpers, or the I can help you doers. It's for y'all. It's for us. This for us, right? And I'm saying us because I have not quite overcome being a mother hen. And I can go into this whole astrological explanation or narrative as to not necessarily why I tend to be a mother hen or why I tend to want to save people or fix people. I can do that, but we'll be here all day. Fact of the matter is, I'm a giver. And I be having faith in people. I be having faith in people. And I be giving people the benefit of the doubt sometimes. And I see the potential. And I don't know if this is a gift or a curse or whatever it may be. But I see the potential in people. And because I see the potential in people, I always want people to realize and actualize themselves fully. Maybe it's because I got Scorpio placements. I don't know. But I want that for people. I want everybody to live their best life. I won't call it a backpedal, but I really don't want everybody to live their best lives if you've crossed me, right? So if you've crossed me and you've done harm to me and you've caused any form of trauma towards me, I do not give a shit if you live your best life. I ain't even gonna front. Some people will like, oh, I want everybody, even the ones who wronged me. No, if you wronged me, I do not care how your life turns out. I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to try to be self-righteous. I do not care. I only care about those who I love and the rest of the world who doesn't know who I am or has never interacted with me. I've never met you. You've never crossed me. We haven't had a break in trust. I wish you the best because I want you to live great, right? So outside of that small percentage of people who have wronged me, I do wish everyone well. I want everybody to live their best life. And if I feel like I can assist you, I can help you, I can aid you on that quest, I almost feel a sense of obligation to help because I recognize that part of my purpose here on earth is to be in service. How that service looks like is broad, right? But I know that I, in many ways, am to be in service to humanity, right? I recognize that. I also recognize I took that I am to be in service of humanity, and I just went to the far extremes of it, right? Astrologically, I'm a Leo sun, tropical Leo sun, sidereal Cancer sun, and I operate in extremes. I'm learning spectrum, and I have learned about spectrum over the last 5-6 years. I've learned about spectrum, but I have always operated in extremes. I'm either to the far left or to the far right. Middle ground is not something that I am familiar with, and I'm learning to exist in the in-between. That's a cool spot. Not necessarily neutral, because you can kind of carve out your own path in the in-between, but you don't have to be all the way to the left or all the way to the right. And because you are not all the way to the left and all the way to the right, that does not mean that you are not picking a side. You are choosing to exist in the neutral, in the gray. Bookmark that. I may circle back to that at some point, not in this podcast, in another podcast. But because I operate in extremes, I took my purpose is to be in servitude or in service to humankind. I took that a little too far. And I became a person who tried to save people, who tried to fix people, and it never worked in my favor. And it didn't work in my favor because I was looking for those people who I helped, I aided, and I saved. I was looking for them to reciprocate that behavior, and they did not have the capacity to do that. Duh. Why would they have the capacity to do that if you just saved them, bitch? Like, hello. But that wasn't clicking for me. And I know that whoever is listening, I know that just clicked for you just now. You are expecting people, and I'm just going right in. I'm not even going to ease you into this one. You are expecting people to reciprocate behaviors, savior behaviors, and servitude behaviors when you just serviced them. You just saved them. So how are you expecting these people to reciprocate things that they do not have? Because if they had it, then you wouldn't be there to be in service to them or to save them, because they could just save themselves. Right? Cool. You are the hoe, save yourself. Captain Save-A-Hoes are all over the place. Captain Save-A-Hoes, I believe, posture themselves as daddy doms. Some of these motherfuckers don't know what the hell that they're doing. And, people who like to play Captain Save-A-Hoe have a domination complex, have a dominance complex, have a God complex, have a savior complex, right? Did I always look at myself, or did I ever look at myself as having a savior complex? No. But I do have a mommy complex. I like to nurture. I play mother hen a lot. I like to save and protect people. It's like an imbalanced lion. Imbalanced lion. Trying to save people. Particularly when nobody asked to be saved. You just start picking up strays. You going through life, and you on your journey, and you're on your path, and you're crisscrossing through the lanes of life, and all of a sudden you see this shiny thing, or you see someone that's in distress, and you just start picking up strays. Nobody asked you to do that. And there's this sense of obligation. You feel like, oh, I can't leave people in distress because somebody helped me. Yeah, that's not wrong. You're not wrong. But who told you to go help that person? Like, who said that to you? Who told that to you? Did it come from the universe? Did it come from God themselves? Did it come from your divine court? Was it an ancestor that guided you? There was a gravitational pull or force or a frequency that made you go in that direction and say, oh, this person is pimp in distress. Let me go help. Baby, when there's a pimp in distress, then that means they looking for a hoe. We just be fucking up, man. The pleasers, the givers, the undercover lovers, the over lovers. We just, jeez. Just be giving. Giving, learned this in my therapy session. Giving with the expectation to receive in return. Like, you give because you are expecting to receive. And that is not the balance of the quote unquote divine feminine, right? To operate fully in your divine, whatever gender identity essence that you are, just in your divinity, right? We don't have to label it masculine or feminine. To operate fully in your divinity, you must be able to give and receive. But your reception, your space of reception, your space of rest, because receiving is rest. Bookmark that. Receiving is rest. But when you give, expecting, receiving, expecting rest, that's just sound like a tool of manipulation. That's not like aligned receiving. That's not frequency and flow. That's orchestration. And I realized that while I was in therapy. I need to go back. Bookmark for me. No wrong with therapy. I learned in therapy that I would give because I was expecting people to return that same energy to me. And I got disappointed because, again, I was given to people who didn't have the capacity to reciprocate that. I remember I was in a friendship with someone. Very platonic. Never romantic, platonic. However, me and this person were so intimately close, never physical, never had any sex, emotionally intimate. We were so intimately close that people thought we were in a relationship. They just assumed that we were in denial over the fact that we were in love with each other. We were never in love with each other, honey. We were never in love with each other. We had love for one another at one point. That love doesn't exist anymore. We had love for each other at one point. And we were very close to one another. And I would get upset because I gave emotionally to this person with the hope that they would reciprocate it back, and they never could. And it took me, it didn't click. It took the demise of our friendship and me peeling back the layers of how I got entangled into this person's chaos. It took me going through that shadow work and really understanding how I got to where I was, that I was never going to get that back because this person just did not have the emotional and mental or spiritual capacity to return the favor. They couldn't do that. They're just not there. And those of us who have that people-pleasing frequency are over-lovers, over-givers, Captain Save-A-Hoes, savior complexes. Those of us who vibrate on that frequency, we don't ever pay attention to the fact that someone just does not have the capacity to give the way that we give. The people that we magnetize are not equal to us. We're actually gravitating to low-hanging fruit because we are in a quote, end quote, low vibrational state. Doesn't necessarily mean that's who we are, but we're vibrating on that frequency because we are looking for someone to give to us. So we take on these pet projects, hoping that we can raise someone up and build them up into what we envision and what we design in our mind. Very transactional. Investing into these people or this person or whomever. Thinking that once we build them, once we do our Build-A-Bear, that is going to love us the way that we've loved them. That's the biggest lie that we told ourselves. We have been playing the shit out of ourselves this whole time. And this is going to sting. This is going to sting to a lot of y'all who are listening to this one. This is going to sting because there's so many of us who like dwelling in this place because it's a wonderful story that we have, that we constantly give to someone. We constantly give to people and we never get it reciprocated back to us. Of course, it's never going to get reciprocated back to us because you give into the wrong people. Silly. You give into the wrong people. You can't expect someone who is in this low-hanging fruit state intentionally. Because typically people who are low-hanging fruit or things that are low-hanging fruit are looking to be grasped. That's why they low. Hello. That's why they're low. They dangling and they shining because they're looking to be picked. The pick-me fruit. But the pick-me fruit are 2 seconds from being rotten, have this plastic shiny gloss that makes it look fresh, but it's not fresh because it's been hanging for so long on its last thread. So it needs something to revitalize itself. And of course, it's going to look to you to revitalize it because that's just what they do. That's what low-hanging fruit does. It's unfortunate, yes. It's unfortunate, yes. But that's what happens. That low-hanging fruit or those things, those projects that you take on, they're not there because they need your help. That's the lie. That's the facade. They don't need your help. They're just a self-fulfilling prophecy waiting for you to prove to yourself that there are humans in this world that don't know how to reciprocate what you give back. But if you keep giving to the wrong people, if you keep giving to those folks who are just looking to siphon you, if that's the cycle that you're on and you continue to just sit in it and just be there, and that's what you're going to get. Because if you were really tired of people not reciprocating what you give, you would actually take a step back, see how you have become the common denominator in the story and the narrative that you've been telling yourself and everyone else for however long, and you would pivot. I had to have that come to Jesus. I had to have that come to Jesus talk with myself. Like, Siobhan, if you are really tired of people not giving the way that you give, or people just not even attempting to reciprocate back what you put out, you don't have to match my energy per se. You just got to be on my timeline and want to give and want to reciprocate and want to see my cup full. Like, you notice that my cup is getting a little empty because I've been giving from my overflow and now I'm giving from my cup. Like, I've given you the overflow, right? Yana Van Sant says, Iya, Iya, Iyala Van Zan says, you don't give from your cup because that is for you. You give from your overflow. But if we are not creating reserve for ourselves, we are always going to be dipping into our cup. And those people who are only there to siphon what we have, they don't care about the fact that you are giving from your cup and that you don't have anything for yourself. They don't give a shit about that. They just want what you have. They want the feeling and the energy that you bring, that energy of care and love. They just want that. They just want to be all up in your frequency. They want to vibe off of you. And then they want to dictate to you what you should be doing with your life, even though they haven't even met you where you are. Because if they had met you where you are, then they would be able to reciprocate what you give, but they can't. So all they do is just take from you. Can you hear the cycle? It's sounding repetitive. I know somebody's hearing it. It's like, that sounds like the same thing. It does. It sounds like the same thing because it's repetitive. I need you to catch it. I need some of y'all to catch this shit quick, so that as we continue to move into 2023, you stop. Like, you end the cycle. You are the hoe. Save yourself. Fuck them pips in distress. Let them be distressed. Because the pimp in distress is only looking for his next, looking for its next mark, baby. If you are the captain that's out here saving all these hoes, save yourself. What about you, babe? What about you, Sib? You ain't even checked for yourself. Like, these are conversations that I had with me internal. These are intrapersonal conversations that I had with myself. Like, bitch, you ain't even checked for yourself. You looking for somebody else to check for you, and you didn't even check for yourself. So the only person that you could really get mad at is you. And I know we hate the phrase. I know we hate the phrasing. We teach people how to interact with us. We do. Because they pay attention. They pay attention to how we speak to ourselves. They pay attention to how we care for ourselves. You know, you walk around, you being the quintessential bad bitch. Somebody paying attention to that. How you keep your hair done, your nails, your feet. You go get facials. You go for a massage. You spend a couple bucks on yourself. Take yourself on solo trips. You go to girls trips. You go out to brunch. You sit in cafes. You have quality technology, software, items. They checking for that. And that's just surface. Right? That's surface. They checking to see how often you go exercise, if you exercise at all. When you're going out to eat, the type of foods that you eating. People observe you in that way. Particularly those who are trying to siphon you. So they pay attention to that. So if we know people are paying attention to the nuances of our daily life and our daily routine, certain things that we do to replenish ourselves, if we even do that, if we rest. They see you a workaholic, they're going to always ask you to do some type of work because you're a workaholic anyway. So what's one extra project? What's one extra project? You take trips all the time. I want to go. What's one extra person? Especially if you one of them people that got miles. Psst, you got miles. You don't even got to pay for a ticket. You see where I'm going? I hope y'all feeling me where I'm going. People latch on to things that you're already doing. So if you're already interacting with yourself in a specific way, because they'll see that this is something that you do already, tacking themselves on isn't going to be a burden because this is what you already do for yourself. So what's an extra notch in the belt? If you're already wearing a belt, just add another hole. Boom. I'm not a liability. I'm not a burden because you're already doing this. See, people who like to siphon you are never going to ask you to do stuff that's outside of your current routine because they already know your routine. People who are trying to use you, who are trying to take from you, are never going to ask you to go outside of your current routine. They're just going to add to the plate. Because when you add into the plate and you already eating a whole big, humongous ass plate, all they're going to do is just tell you to pace yourself. What's an extra strawberry in this fruit basket? You already got a whole bunch of fruit anyway. That's how they move. So they piling on to the plate that you already have and expecting you to care for them in that way. Because these people, these hoes that you be out here saving besides yourself, they're not going to do anything outside of what you're already doing. They're not going to have you rearrange your schedule that much. If you talked about traveling somewhere or going off, making this up, you want to move to Costa Rica. You have been talking about moving to Costa Rica for years. I've been talking about moving to Costa Rica too. Really? Huh. Yeah. Why don't we just both move in together? Go live in Costa Rica. That wasn't your plan to bring another person with you, but because you're in communion with this person, whether it's romantic, platonic, because you're in communion with this person, it's not a burden to look for a 3-bedroom apartment. Maybe you was already looking for a 2-bedroom apartment in Costa Rica, or something that someone's subletting. You was already looking for that anyway. So if you was looking for a 2-bedroom apartment, what's the difference in maybe getting a 3rd? So one of these could be an office and you and that person could split a room. You see how easy it is for somebody to latch themselves on to your dream and then call themselves trying to support you? It's master manipulation at its finest. That's what happens when you answer distress calls for people who didn't actually call you. They just sent out a distress signal to persons who happen to be on that frequency. They didn't call you specifically, but you'll tell yourself that. You'll tell yourself that this person specifically reached out to you and they were looking for you and you just had to go and help and save. Because that's the narrative that you want to tell yourself. Because you have a savior complex. So you living in this savior complex, you'll tell yourself that distress call was specific to you. It wasn't. You was just hanging out with the low-hanging fruit people, waiting for a distress signal, trying to validate your worth and validate your ability to give and your ability to love by taking on a pet project. That was a hard reality for me to face. That was so hard for me to face, to realize that a lot of the people, particularly men that I was involved in, were pet projects. And then to learn with me having undiagnosed ADHD, a lot of these niggas I knew I wasn't interested in, but because I was hyper focused, because they just were new and shiny, because I hyper focused, because it was something for me to do, was something for me to put my energy in, it was something new, it was a new experience. Realizing that once these particular people were out of my life, I just moved on to something new. It was so interesting, right? Because when you are in the thick of it emotionally, and you and these people are going through very chaotic, traumatic energy, and on the verge of a breakup, you have already convinced yourself that it is going to take you months, years to overcome the hurt and the pain that this person has caused you, which may not necessarily be untrue. But if you happen to be like me and are neurospicy with undiagnosed ADHD, I promise you, babe, you hyper-focus. And because this person is literally in your face pretty much every day, 24/7, the moment that motherfucker moves, your attention is going to latch on to something else, and that motherfucker is going to be like they never existed. And that hurt and that pain that you're feeling is actually disappointment and aggravation for you allowing someone who wasn't even supposed to be in your space in the first place to entertain. You entertained somebody that wasn't supposed to be in your space in the first place, and now you just aggravated. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? Where was I at? What's going on with me internally? Me and this person were misaligned. How did I even get here? Because somehow something made you step down from your platform and decide to play with the peasants. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you shouldn't say that. I'm saying it. You don't belong there. You don't belong there. You don't need to take on a pet project. You don't need to fix anybody. You need to focus on yourself. You need to save yourself. Because if you are listening to this, and if this is a pattern for you, you are never going to be in a functional relationship until you realize that you cannot realize yourself through someone else. You cannot validate your worth through someone else. You cannot fix people and think that you are fixing yourself. You cannot fix somebody to avoid handling your own shit. Can't help people and say, well, I'm helping them. I'm giving everything. And you are depleting because you're not actually helping them. You being depleted and drained by giving all of your all to someone else is not helping them. It's enabling them, actually. It's coddling them, in fact. You are the hoe. Save yourself. Be the captain of your own life. Steer your own ship. Pour back into yourself. Nourish yourself. Water yourself. Sustain yourself. Love yourself. Care for yourself. Quench your own thirst. Please yourself. If you're solely looking for it in someone else, you're never going to find it. That energy is supposed to match you. It's not supposed to be singular to you. It's supposed to be in tandem, not enmeshment. You can't continue to be an undercover overlover, a people pleaser, an overgiver. Can't keep trying to fix people. Take on pet projects. Want to save everybody. Makes me think about a former friend of mine. I kept trying to save her. That hoe ain't want to be saved. I kept trying to save her. She found every reason to just do opposite of what I was trying to get her to do. And I had to take a step back. Because when the demise of our friendship hit, this bitch blocked me on every social media app known to man. I'm probably not on apps that she blocked me on. And I had to take a step back and be like, damn, I thought we were like best friends. She was my best friend. I was not her best friend. And I really had to sit with myself and be like, you know what? It's because you tried to mother hen her. It's because you attempted to get her to follow a path that you thought that she should follow. And you really just didn't know her at all. You didn't know what she wanted. You didn't know what she needed. You didn't know what she desired. She made you think that you did, but you didn't. You don't know this bitch. You know who you do know? Yourself. Focus on yourself. And this isn't to say that, you can't support your friends and your core group, but like really be cognizant, really discern who you're giving that energy to. And if, a couple days, a couple weeks in, you starting to feel drained, red flag. Like, pay attention to the red flags. We don't. In general, as human beings, we do not pay attention to red flags. Particularly the overgivers, the undercover overlovers, the people pleasers, and the saviors. We skip the red flags because if we acknowledge the red flag, then the story ends. We can't save anybody because, oh my God, I got a warning sign. This is not the direction that I'm supposed to be going in. And now, where does that leave me? That leaves you back on the path that you were on, where you're supposed to be minding your business, drinking your water, doing your stretches, focusing on your focus, and stay strong. That's where it leaves you. It leaves you back where you are supposed to be, in alignment. Don't answer the distress call. That's not for you. The distress call is for anybody who will listen. And if you do not get to a space where you let go of the narrative that you have to save the world, you will think anytime someone sends out an energetic distress call that it is specifically designed for you. And that is the lie that you tell yourself. Because God forbid you don't got nobody to save. Who you gonna save then? Yourself, nigga. You. There's no one for me to save. Yes, there is. You. You. They tell you to put the mask on yourself first. Y'all out here asphyxiating your whole auric fields. Ah, man. Yeah. I just had to get that out because I see the path that a lot of us are going down. And, myself included, not to the detriment of some of you all, but I do see certain patterns, certain levels, right? Because when we talk about healing is a never-ending journey, right? No one's ever truly healed. You won't know until you die, and then by then it doesn't really matter. You're not ever truly healed, right? It's a constant journey, and there's levels, right? Some of y'all think, oh, I completed all the levels. No, I think, what is it? Super Mario Brothers has like 42 levels. My G. You have not met, you're not even close to level 42, right? You're probably at like level 1.2. And you probably haven't even gotten to level 1 yet. You probably just doing the foundation work, right? So you haven't, you're doing the work, and the work is constant. That's important to know. The work is constant. You're not going to be like, oh, I did the work, I'm done. It's impossible. As long as you have breath here on this earth, the work is never done. So you're constantly going to be meeting parts of yourself in different themes at different stages of your life that you will have to resolve. You'll have to reconcile with. So that in itself is enough. And that's just you. And you want to compartmentalize that and take all that wonderful energy that you should be doing to help realize yourself and actualize yourself and give it to somebody else. That's ashy. That's ashy behavior. That's ashy. Let's leave that back in 2022, okay? Let's work towards unlearning that behavior. That's important. That's important for us to have the relationships that we desire, be them romantic, platonic, business, regardless of the nature of the relationship we want to have. If you are saying that's what you want and your movements are opposite, as my girl Kimmy Michelle would say, you're confusing the universe. You are confusing the universe. If you are doing opposite of what your true intentions are in your heart, you are confusing the universe. And the universe is going to give you what it senses from you. So, save yourself, ho. And don't let these people play in your face. I know what I want to say, but I'm not about to do like a Jamaican accent or any type of fake patois accent today. I'm not going to do that. Y'all not going to clown me. But don't let these boys out here take you for idiot. Don't let them do it. Don't let these fools out here make an idiot out of you because you want to help. Discernment is going to be your saving grace in this human experience. Discernment is going to keep you out of a lot of shit that you ain't supposed to be in. Discernment is going to help you decipher whether that distress call is for you or it's just a mayday, anybody just come and help me. It's going to save you a lot of time wasted, tears expended, not wanting to get up and eat and wash your ass. It's going to save you a lot of that because you don't need to unnecessarily put yourself in a situation where you spiral. And I know what it feels like to spiral. Sometimes it's hard to come out of that. And that's a lot of time you spend in that dark place because you let somebody's son take you for Egypt. Okay. I love y'all. Thank you for tuning in to the Say With Sex podcast. And until we meet again. Thank you for tuning in to the Say It With Sex podcast, an audio experience of the Muses Lab. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with like minds. And if you're down for the get down, subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and never miss an episode.